Assalamu alaikum dear students. Good morning. Hope you all are doing well. Today is Wednesday and the date is 13th of November 2024. Our chapter number is 6 Work and Energy and our today's topic is major sources of energy. In this lecture we will discuss what are the major sources of energy, what are their names and for which purpose we use them. So without any wait, let's start our lecture. So, the first and the major source of energy is fossil fuels. Before going into the detail of fossil fuels, we should know that what are fossil fuels, from where we can get fossil fuels, and how they are produced. So, when we comes to know about the definition of fossil fuels, we come to know that fossil fuels are fuels formed by natural resources. These fuels are formed in the earth over millions of years from decayed organisms and produce carbon dioxide when burned. It means we get fossil fuels from the decaying plants, the plants that are dead and they are buried under the surface of earth. And when we burn these decaying organisms, they produce carbon dioxide gas. So we can get carbon dioxide gas as well, and we can use these fuels for other useful purposes as well. So when we talk about fossil fuels, you should all know that fossil fuels are the fuels that are produced by the decaying organism. Decaying organisms means the organisms which are completely dead. They are not living anymore. They are dead, they are decayed, and when they are buried under the surface of earth or millions of years ago. Fuels are produced not instantly, but they take millions of years ago for their formation. So it's a long time process, and it take millions of years ago to produce fossil fuels by the decaying plants under the surface of earth. After come to know about the fossil fuels, we should also know its different types. What are the different types of fossil fuels? So there are total three different types of fossil fuels. One is coal, second one is oil, and the third one is natural gas. When we burn all these three types of fossil fuels, we get a lot of amount of carbon dioxide gas, we get a lot of energy, and we can use that energy to do our useful daily basis tasks. So keep remember there are total three different types of fossil fuel: coal, oil, and natural gas. As you all know, when we burn coal at room temperature or at air temperature, we get a lot of heat, we get a lot of energy. Some of the energy got wasted in the environment, and the other energy is used by us to do a useful task. Similarly, for the case of oil and for the case of natural gas, we use natural gas for domestic purposes as well. So, these are the three total different types of fossil fuels. So, as we have discussed that coal is the first and the major source of getting energy. So, the question arises how coal is used as a fossil fuel. And the main question, the first question that comes into mind is that from where we can get coal. So, we can get oil from coal mines. Coal mines are the major source, and we can say that main source for getting coal. And when we burn this coal, by burning this coal, we get a lot of energy and we get a lot of heat, and we can use this heat and we can use this energy to do a useful task. And some of the developing countries like China and India, they can't afford oil or natural gas as it is expensive. So they depend upon coal to meet their energy sources or to fulfill their energy sources. Nowadays, coal is the main and the major source for getting heat and energy for many countries, but it is a non renewable energy source. As coal takes millions of years ago for their formation, and if we continuously using coal at the present rate, it will be soon diminished, or we can say that it will be soon extinct. So we should use coal in a proper way so that the heat and energy produced as a result of burning of coal can be used properly and beneficially. And we should also try to discover more reservoir of coal to meet our energy sources, or we can say that we can save that coal as an energy source for our coming generations as well. I think you should all know about the use of oil in our daily life. Oil is usable and very important in our daily life nowadays. But the question is that how oil is used as a fossil fuel. Oil is the most widely used fossil fuel. Crude oil consists of many different organic compounds. Basically, all the sources of fossil fuels to getting energy like oil or natural gas. When all these three compounds burn, they produce heat and energy as we have discussed earlier. And when they produce heat and energy, they also have organic compounds in them. So all of the energy sources we can say that contain organic compounds, and that organic compound is hydrocarbons. What are hydrocarbons? Hydrocarbons are the derivatives of carbon and hydrogen. In hydrocarbons, only hydrogen and carbon atoms are present. So, when we burn these fossil fuels, these sources of fossil fuels like oil or natural gas, the organic compounds present in them also got burned and produces a large amount of heat energy, and it is applied in cars, jets, roads and roofs and many other appliances or devices, we can say that. So if fossil fuels have advantages, it must have disadvantages as well. First point is pollution. Pollution is produces when we burn fossil fuels. When we burn fossil fuels, heat and energy is produced, and that heat and energy also goes into the air along with the smoke that is produces by burning of fossil fuels. That smoke containing harmful ingredients, harmful chemicals goes into the air and pollute the environment. So the natural environment got disturbed and it creates pollution. That pollution may result in different harmful diseases. It may cause asthma and different breath issues. The second point is burning chemicals can result in acid rain. When we are burning fossil fuels, it contains harmful chemicals, and the burning of these chemicals releases harmful pollutants, and these pollutants react with the air, and when the rain comes, these pollutants along with the air combine with the natural rain, and that natural rain then becomes acid rain, and that acid rain is harmful not only for plants, for animals and for human beings as well. The third point is they use non-renewable resources. Non-renewable resources are the resources that are not natural, that are created, as we have discussed in the chapter number 5. We have discussed about artificial satellite. Artificial things means that are man made, that are not natural. So the fossil fuels are not natural resources, but we can say that they are non renewable resources. Non renewable resources that are diminished in the future soon. So if we will continue using the fossil fuels at the present rate, and we will not discuss the more reservoirs of fossil fuels, oil or gas, and we have used all these resources that are present nowadays, so in the future there will be many energy issues to fulfill our energy needs. They are non-renewable resources. They will be diminished soon in the future if we will not discovering the any other resources of them. The third and the fourth and the last point is that they need huge amount of each resource. When we talk about the fossil fuels, the coal, oil and gas, they all need huge amount of resources. Resources means the resources are that ingredients, that points, that objects from which we can get fossil fuels. As we have discussed in the start of the topic, that fossil fuels are obtained from the decaying plants or decaying organisms. So to meet our future energy resources, we required more sources, more dead plants, more dead organisms, so that we can bury them under the surface of earth to produce fossil fuels. So to produce each fossil fuel like coal, oil or gas, we are in need of decaying plants or decaying organisms. So if we have a lot of decaying plants or decaying organism, then we are able to produce the fossil fuels. Otherwise we are not able to produce fossil fuels anymore. So these are the disadvantages of fossil fuels that we have discussed in this lecture. Hope you guys have enjoyed the lecture, and you will all make a sense to understand the lecture. We will meet in the next lecture. Until that, take care. Allah Hafiz.